Lake Lure Mayor Carol Pritchett. Looks like we're actually in front of some dredging work, and I understand this is probably one of the big projects overall that y'all have got going on in Lake Lure. I see a lot of trucks going by.
It is. This is probably the most singly important thing that we've done this year, to be honest with you, to bring back Lake Lure back to where it needs to be. In the first 3 weeks, of course, there was so much debris on the roads, and we did have local contractors, thank goodness, who helped us remove that. But the Army Corps of Engineers was direct scoped by FEMA, thank goodness, and they were here early in October and have been here 7 days a week, 12 hours a day since then. And it is absolutely amazing what they've accomplished. I don't know if you remember it in the very beginning, if you were here, it was piled so many feet high on the lake with debris too, but they've already moved over 100 million tons of sediment from the lake.
Wow.
So this is very important. This is certainly not something that Lake Lure ever could have managed on its own, or even if we'd had to go through the route of applying through public assistance, we might not have even been started by now. But because they came so early on and they're just incredible workers, we are where we are now, and they are very hopeful that the positive date is hopefully October 31st, that they'll be completed with removing the sediment and the debris from the lake, and then we'll be able to begin that process over the winter of bringing the lake back up to full pond.
Yeah, I had noticed with your most recent update from the town that it looks like you're still below the normal levels that you would expect to see for the lake right now.
We are. We're, I believe we're about, I think it's 33 feet lower. Wow. And we cannot bring it up. For one thing, when you start to bring it up, you can only bring it up a foot a day. So you have to recognize that just the run of the river will not produce that much water. So you have to have some rain accompanying that too. So as we sort of look to hopefully be up by maybe late spring, May, let's say, because that's when the season really starts here, and everybody can begin to plan for it, we would have to have some lead time in order to get it up. Yeah. There are some other things that enter into that, other projects that we need to complete. The tainter gates on the dam need to be repaired, and that would require the lake to be down at least 16 feet, and that would be maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then also we need to do some other work that needs to be done, which would be just a couple of weeks. But all that having been said, we're hopeful for a couple of things. Hopefully by March 1st, we might have the lake back up to about 16 feet below pond level, and that would enable us to have the rowers from the colleges come here, and they come every year, and they so look forward to that. Yeah. But we have to have at least that amount of water in the lake for them to be able to get in, and of course they have to make their plans in the fall, and we understand that, so we're crossing our fingers that that'll be ready. Even though the lake wouldn't be ready for other people to use. But then if that were the case March 1st, we'd be able to bring the water back up so that by May people would be able to enjoy the lake again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of curious, how much has it impacted y'all to not have access to the lake and kind of, I would say, a central draw of a town called Lake Lure?
Well, truly, the town is called Lake Lure because it centers around the lake, Lake Lure. And of course, it's been devastating to our economy. We have mostly small business owners here, and we don't have stores. We're not a merchandising town like, let's say, Chimney Rock does. It has a lot of little stores. Our product really here is the lake. The ability to enjoy the lake, both for fishing, for boating, for just sort of hanging out around the lake, the trails, golf courses and things like that, but it has severely compromised our tourism ability. So, we are mindful of the fact that for small business owners, they just have so much capital reserve that can enable them to hold on for so long. So we are really hopeful, even if everything else is not completely finished, that the lake would be at full pond by then, and we are hopeful that our marina will have the boat slips back in, and that will be redone, and that's where the marina is over there, and people would be able to come in from the outside. That would make a tremendous amount of difference to the business owners here and to everyone who lives in Lake Lure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're here, coming up on a year since Helene. Hard to believe it's been a year.
It is.
I mean, what are your thoughts just thinking about what y'all have gone through over the last 12 months?
Well, it is remarkable what we've done, and I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go down to Kerrville, Texas, to help with the people there with the flooding from the Guadalupe River. And I'm from Texas, and so I know that area very well, but it was really mindful to me where they are then and where we are here, because it was just about 5 weeks after the flood there, and to see the devastation, and you haven't even begun to recover, you're just still trying to get through the immediate disaster. And as we reflect on where we were September 27th of last year and the utter devastation here, and the concern at that point in the beginning, of course, is emergency things like loss of life. Are people safe? Can we get utilities back to people? And we are so thankful for the people who, for our own, for Dustin Waycaster, our fire chief, and all the people in the fire station and the police and all the people who came to help us from all around the state and from other states to help with that original safety measures. And we were lucky there was no loss of life. And then, as I said, Army Corps coming in to begin that debris removal. Duke Energy was such a wonderful partner for us. They were here as soon as they could be to restore energy to people, electricity to people. Some things we certainly recognize and we're still working on, like everybody else is, but as I'm sure you've noticed, Wi-Fi is a little difficult when you get here, but in a couple of weeks we'll be breaking ground on our cell tower on Boys Camp Road, which we've been working on now for about 6 years. But that was played a big part in the disaster recovery, for the ability to communicate with each other. Yeah. We still have a lot of other things to do. This will, hopefully this fall, will be completed with the lake being restored to where it is, but we still need to focus on our sewer system and our wastewater treatment plant and the dam. But that having been said, those things can be factored in as we go, and the town will be perfectly open for business. It's actually open now for business, but as you said, a lot of people who come normally for the lake don't come. But I don't know how much you know, for instance, about Rumbling Ball, which is on the other side of the lake. But they have 2 18-hole golf courses there that are beautiful and ready to use now. They were spared, most of it, because they're kind of set back from the lake. So everybody, has a lot of sense of hope now, and everybody's had hope all along, but sort of the feeling is much more positive. This might actually be accomplishable this spring.
Yeah. I mean, how are the, residents and business owners, talking right now, in the sense of, where do you think people are at this very moment?
Well, I think people have been very patient, amazingly patient and loyal. The people who live here, are certain. We've not seen an exodus of people. I'm going to sell my house, I'm moving out, all those things. I say sometimes to people, we have a little bit older population here, though a lot of young people are moving in, which is good. But that means people have been through a lot of things in their lives, and they know you have to be patient, and you have to be loyal, and you just have to keep moving forward. Our business owners, very patient too. We've been tried very hard to attract people here, because there are a lot of things that you can do here other than the lake. Mm-hmm. Some things I tell people, you may not have even known these things were here because you were so busy being out on the lake, and now's your time to experience it. But everybody needs something to happen. There's a limit as to how long it can take. So everybody's very hopeful, and we feel very confident by this spring that we'll be back at full pond and ready for everybody to be out on the lake again.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, I want to talk more about that cell phone tower. I know you said that this was a project that was, in the works before Helene, but we definitely saw communications a huge issue for multiple communities following the storm. And now there's an even bigger discussion about how can we shore up new cell phone towers going in and plan for those better, so that we can have infrastructure that withstands a major storm again if necessary.
Well, it's a huge part of it, and it was a problem even before the storm. I mean, we had people here who couldn't reach 911 when they needed to get it, and so our emergency management service poised to go as always, whether you're on the mountain or wherever you are, in Chimney Rock State Park, because we cover all of Chimney Rock State Park too. And so very, very critical that even from when I first became mayor in 2019, that's what we've been focusing on. But it was really brought much higher profile after Hurricane Helene, because just to have all the people be able to communicate with each other as you're trying to work together to solve it, it's very critical. So we're very hopeful. It's been a very, very long process to get this cell tower approved. Even before the hurricane, there's so many hurdles that you have to go through. And so we are very hopeful that they will begin breaking ground in a couple of weeks. So that'll be a huge boon for us, both in disaster preparedness, but just in the general life here in Lake Lure.
Yeah.
All right, you've been listening into an interview with the mayor of Lake Lure, Carol Pritchett, with our Vanessa Rufus, talking about Helene recovery and the last year since the hurricane happened and what we still need to do from here. We'll have people in the mountains all week long, talking to people all over, including Chimney Rock, Blowing Rock, and Boone. So stick with us. We're going to take a quick break.